Hello, I'm HITC Sport and Brendan Rodgers. Remember this moment, mid-October 2021. Right now, while he's still probably picking out his Halloween costume. My advice, Mayor Quimby. Alright, this is just where you single-handedly poured old lady armpit sweat all over the fabrics of your once promising managerial career. This is the moment you've squeezed milk and blood from pig's nipple all over your proud CV. This is a Dear Diary moment, Brendan. You know, like riding your first bike or getting your first kiss with your cousin. What? But yeah, this is a career-ruining moment. A bit like the king of pop forgetting to clean his curtains before the cops arrived, or when Sabrina the Teenage Witch pushed her nephew in front of an oncoming bus. Okay, to be fair, that would never happen, but doesn't sound like something that might be true. The point is, in every manager's life, there is always that one job opportunity that comes around which opens the door for them to achieve greatness. I mean, for Sir Alex Ferguson, who's leaving Aberdeen for Old Trafford, if he'd stayed in Scotland, I don't think he'd become a knight. I mean, for Jose Mourinho, who's taking the step from Porto to Chelsea, and for Antonio Conte, who's leaving Siena for Juventus. Don't get me wrong, these were scary moments. Each one of these men could have crumbled under the pressure, leaving such a comfy job to step into the shoes of such a high-pressure environment with expectations through the roof, and the spotlight is suddenly on you to deliver. I mean, it's a bit like losing your virginity on national TV. Oh, that's great. Your Auntie Susan tucking into her bowl of sugar puffs on the couch, whilst you desperately try to impregnate your teddy bear. Newcastle United is a monster gig in world football right now. The point is, you need to be brave and seize your chance. Crazy enough, if nobody ever left their comfort zone, we'd all still be stuffed inside the womb. I'm pretty sure after 20 odd years of being pregnant, my mother would now probably be hitting her belly with a lamp. But lads, Newcastle United is the monster gig in world football right now, and Rodgers has turned his nose up at an approach.
Exclusive! Brendan Rodgers would resist any Newcastle interest as he in the frame to replace Pep Guardiola as Man City boss in 18 months' time. Sources confirm he'll be on the shortlist to see Guardiola and his admirers within the Etihad.
Admirers within the Etihad? Yeah, Etihad Airport maybe, as someone to scan the luggage, sure. But Manchester City manager? No, it's not that he's not a good coach, he is. But I'll tell you in a minute why this is a delusional fantasy reality. But first, let's just face the facts. Brendan Rodgers has accomplished his mission at Leicester. In February 2019, he took over a stale Leicester team, 12th in the league, having lost 5 of the last 6 matches. With Jamie Vardy under Claude Puel, mostly resembling Jesse Pinkman in football boots, he's breathed life back into the club, giving them an identity, a smooth style of football, back-to-back 5th place finishes, a priceless FA Cup, taking that club from the brink of depression to European football. Newcastle United are a bigger club with a fan base who would treat you like a king and give you a transfer kitty to blow the competition out of the water. Amanda Staley has already said she wants to win the Premier League title. Rodgers, you've had one meaningful title race in this division once in your entire life. I mean, it's so long ago that your Liverpool captain is now also linked with the same goddamn job. Christ, well, even in Scotland there wasn't even a title race, was it? By the way, trying to 600,000 subscribers as soon as possible. If you're new here, slap that big fat red button in the teeth, you absolute legends. Anyway, back into the video. I know, anyone saying that joining a club 19th in the league is a step up automatically makes them sound like they've got a hamburger stuffed in their brain. I realise this, but it's true. At Newcastle, you'd have the finances to mould and shape the second coming of the entertainers. You could be the modern day Kevin Keegan. How can you reject this exciting project? This is like Martin O'Neill rejecting new money Man City in 2009 to stay at a more stable club like Aston Villa, right? Probably with an eye on one day replacing Sir Alex Ferguson at Old Trafford. Wasn't that the plan? Yeah, but time moves on. Within 3 years, Man City were lifting the FA Cup, while you were stuck at Sunderland, a town that constantly smells of gone-off milk. I mean, Arsene Wenger was offered the opportunity to leave a stale and cash-strapped environment like Arsenal, saddled with an expensive stadium, filled to the brim with unappreciative cartoon characters, to go and begin a new project at Man City in 2009, and he said no. There is not a shred of doubt in my entire body that had he made the move, he would have won the 4th and 5th Premier League titles of his career, instead of now having to scrape his dignity off a toilet bowl. Rafa Benitez also turned down a Man City approach in 2009, the chance to finally work with Gareth Barry. He said no, and 1 year later, he was sacked twice before Christmas. Wake up, Brendan Rodgers. This is the moment where your stock is at the highest. Seize it. Seize it now. Now. This is it. Now. Don't wait for Man Man City in 18 months. Bro, you know you could be onto the 4th sacking of your career, fending off offers from Nottingham Forest and Hull. I mean, you might say Rodgers has already had that one big moment, right? Swapping Swansea for Liverpool in 2012, but I'm sorry, no. Back then, he was a 39-year-old Fred Flintstone lookalike who looked like he probably got married at Burger King. Most football coaches have their pockets filled with whistles and notepads. Why do I get the feeling that this man used to waddle onto the training pitch with his pockets filled with Skittles and melted bags of Maltesers? But yeah, there was a guy just 3 years after being sacked at Reading. I think it's obvious he was far from a master tactician. First off, a championship CV and 2 years coaching the Chelsea Kiddies was fetching Mourinho his morning coffee. Oh, impressive! All I was missing from that was a 1-month internship at Superdrug. He won 13 games as Watford boss and just 6 at Reading. This guy was the untouchable Frank de Boer of the championship. I mean, the guy spent May 2010 begging Portsmouth, yes, financially crippled Portsmouth, a steaming pile of undercooked shepherd's pie. He was begging them to give him a job, saying he was flattered to be linked with replacing Avram Grant in the dugout and that he would love the challenge of taking over. Oh yes, love the challenge of taking a job where the players probably have to bring a packed lunch to work. Take over a job where the dinner ladies probably get paid in free haircuts. I mean, do you see how low his stock was? He was desperate for a job. He couldn't even get the vacant gig at Burnley. I mean, even when Swansea rescued him from the couch, he was their 4th choice after Gary Speed, Nigel Adkins and Billy Reid, a fella who now sits on Graham Potter's bench. I mean, do you remember Euro 2012? Well, apparently if Harry Redknapp had got the England job, Rodgers had already agreed to be his number 2 on the bench. I mean, bit of an upgrade on a tactical pigeon like Gary Neville and a walking cheeseburger like Craig Shakespeare, right? But the point is, he was learning on the job at Liverpool. In many ways, he wasn't ready to coach Steven Gerrard, but this version of Rodgers, the last decade of experience has shaped him into one of the most tactically innovative coaches in England. Christ, look what it's done for his body. He's gone from looking like a Teletubby to a 40-year-old Joe Weller. And apparently he's now got the wealth of Saudi Arabia sniffing around his snout. The Geordie fanbase has spent this week thinking about Rodgers in the bath, and yet apparently he would say no because he might get an interview for Man City in 18 months. What? You need to take the jobs when your stock is at your highest. Remember when you finished 2nd in 2014? You were linked with the job at Barcelona. But come on, you might as well have fed that paper to your dog, because with either of El Clasico really appoint a manager called Brendan? Oh yes, that's a name that exudes power and prestige. It sounds like someone who spends his weekends knitting jumpers and baking gingerbread men. But then again, what am I talking about? I mean, Barcelona's current boss was named after fast food's answer to Pennywise the Clown. So, maybe, but do you really think the ego of Manchester City Football Club will actually want Brendan Rodgers in 2 years? This guy was already made a job offer by this club 11 years ago, turning down the chance to work as assistant boss to Roberto Mancini, thinking he was above all that. I mean, he even wasted their time by having a free dinner with the city directors in Milan. I mean, they were probably tucking into a classy 3-course 5-star meal, while he was probably wolfing down a handful of chicken nuggets under the table. And he said no! Through mouthfuls of ketchup and salt, and probably smelling like a homeless man's foot, he looked the city owners in the eye and he said no. I mean, I once turned down the opportunity to have a sleepover at my PE teacher's house. I don't think now I'll be able to ring him up 10 years later and ask him to go for a pint, do you? Not only that, if Rodgers goes to the Etihad, I mean, he'll be bringing Kolo Touré back to town, someone that club successfully dumped off the payroll a decade ago. And you just know, just like he got his kid brother a trial at Arsenal in 2003, you just know he's gonna want to get Yaya on the coaching staff. I mean, is that really what you want? That prima donna headbanger? Sulking in the canteen, whining about the flavour of his latest birthday cake? I mean, this isn't anything new. Rodgers was linked with succeeding Manuel Pellegrini in 2015, and he said no. How many times do you want this human potato punching your ego in the face with a string of rejections? Rodgers, do you not forget, this club doubted you after the Liverpool sack. They didn't even sneeze in your direction while at Celtic. Nothing. Christ above, the rest of football forgot about you for a while. I mean, prior to Celtic, was still being unemployed on the couch for 6 months. You were relegated to receiving job offers from China, West Ham, and Swansea.
Exclusive, ex-Liverpool boss Brendan Rodgers to return to Swansea for 16-17 season.
If that had happened, gladly taking 2 steps backwards, I mean, that would have been the moment where Brendan Rodgers' career would have died a very public death. I mean, even in 2018, when Arsenal wanted to replace Arsene Wenger, the board even rejected offering Rodgers a damn interview, apparently due to concerns over his personality, which is why they then chose to appoint Unai Emery, who has the natural charisma of an Egg McMuffin. I realise you're the favourite for the City job now, but 18 months is a long time in football. Your stock was high in the summer, 5th in the league, FA Cup win and a Community Shield, great, but you're currently 13th in the league, presiding over a complete clown shop defence. I mean, it doesn't help when you've just gone and bought someone who looks like a drugged up lurch. Since April, you've taken 18 points from a possible 48. In that run of games, both Tottenham and Newcastle have stuck 4 goals past Kasper Schmeichel, while West Ham have banged in 7. Don't let this run continue. Those of you who think Rodgers is unsackable right now, nah, I'm sorry, Cloudy Ranieri has been just 6 months after winning the Premier League title. Leicester are only 5 points above the relegation zone. So 18 months, it's a mammoth gap of time. When Pep Guardiola walks away from the Etihad in 2023, Jamie Vardy will be approaching his 37th birthday, stinking of Red Bull and sweat. Kasper Schmeichel will also be an old man. Yuri Tielemans will be at Bayern Munich and Wesley Fofana at Real Madrid. While James Maddison will probably have since quit the sport to go and serve cocktails in David Bentley's Spanish pub. They say Leicester's strength is in recruitment, but I'm sorry, the signs don't look good. You just spent £60 million to decorate your bench. 2 years is a long time. Christ, well, go back to 2019 when Rodgers was stuffed in Scotland, and this was Newcastle fans' response to him being linked with Rafa Benitez's job.
And one man who certainly bigs himself up plenty enough is Mr. Brendan Rodgers, and himself and David Wagner have been linked today with the Newcastle United manager's job. But if this doesn't send a cold shiver down the spine of all of those folk, we've got Brendan Rodgers. And how his head fits through any doorway, I don't know. To be fair, my dog would go up to Scotland and probably get Celtic to the title. He'd be an Ashley apologist. He'd be the worst type of manager for Newcastle.
See? Nobody wanted you. I know you're the favourite for the job on paper, but I'm sorry. Nuno Espirito Santo is 5-1 favourite for the Man City job. What, the guy clinging to his Tottenham job by the width of a hamster's nipple? I mean, Patrick Vieira is 4th favourite. I guess, because that's realistic. All the money in the world and the Abu Dhabi group are going to approach the boss of Crystal Palace. I know what's going to happen. Luis Enrique is going to drag this youthful Spanish side to the final of the Qatar World Cup next Christmas, 6 months out from taking the Manchester City job. I mean, considering they got Barcelona connections in the boardroom via their sporting director Chiqui Beristain, they're going to want to continue with Barca DNA. I mean, Rodgers, sure, he spent his mid-20s spying on Barca training sessions in a public bush whilst living in a 3-star Spanish hostel. He's well, he probably used to drink beer with his morning shreddies. Come on, he was backpacking across Europe. Do you really think Barcelona want to appoint a guy who probably used to urinate in Catalan phone boxes? Luis Enrique scored over 100 goals for the club, coached the Barca B team, oh yeah, and won a famous treble with the first team. Rodgers, do you really think you're gonna nick that job over a hip? Turning down Newcastle? Trust me, if you turn down Newcastle United now, let's revisit this in 5 years. It will be the biggest mistake of your life. Anyway, that's it. Let me know, because what do you think? Have I got this all wrong? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. As always, I'll talk to you in a while.